They say you can't fall in love in a single evening. That love takes time, patience, careful building. But I'm here to tell you that sometimes love doesn't knock politely, it breaks down your door during a thunderstorm, wrapped in a white towel and silver hair, and changes everything you thought you knew about connection. This is the story of how I went to fix a broken router, and ended up fixing 2 broken hearts instead. I've fixed 1,000 broken connections in my life. Routers, modems, networks that wouldn't communicate. But I never expected that the last call on a Friday in August would fix the one connection I didn't even know was broken, my own. The work order said, intermittent connectivity issues. Nothing special. It was the last call of the day, and I was already counting down the minutes until I could go home to my empty apartment. The address led me to one of those neighborhoods where money whispers instead of shouts, where houses hide behind stone walls and perfect hedges. My van pulled up to a modern house that looked like it belonged in an architecture magazine. All clean lines, massive windows, and intimidating perfection. I grabbed my tool bag and straightened my company-issued polo shirt. Just another job, Maya. Get in. Get out. I rang the bell and heard the chime echo deep inside. Footsteps approached, slow, deliberate, confident. I prepared my customer service smile. The door swung open and my smile died on my lips. She was wrapped in a single white towel, tucked precariously above her breasts. Droplets of water clung to her collarbone and traced slow paths down her skin. Her hair, a striking cascade of dark silver, was damp and slicked back from a face that was all sharp angles and intelligent eyes. She looked to be in her late 40s, maybe early 50s, with a stern mouth currently pulled into a line of profound irritation. "Yes?" she asked, her voice a low alto, smoky and impatient. I forgot how to speak. My eyes followed a droplet of water as it slid from her throat and disappeared into the white terry cloth. I swallowed hard. Hi, I'm Maya from ConnectTech. The Wi-Fi." My voice came out as a squeak. She blinked, a flicker of embarrassment crossing her features before being suppressed behind a mask of cool composure. "Right. Of course. I forgot you were coming." She sighed. "The network has been down for 2 days, and I have a deadline." She stepped back, holding the towel tighter. "Come in." The heavy door clicked shut behind me, sealing me inside with her. The cool, air-conditioned interior was a shock after the oppressive heat outside. The house was beautiful in a way that felt almost aggressive, minimalist, and severe. Polished concrete floors, stark white walls, a cavernous living area dominated by a wall of books. It wasn't a home, it was a fortress. "I was in the shower," she said, as if I hadn't noticed. "I'll just be a moment. The router is in my office through there." She pointed down a long hallway. "Don't touch anything." Then she turned and ascended a floating staircase, the towel clinging to the curve of her back. I stood frozen, my heart hammering against my ribs. "Just do the job, Maya. Fix the connection. Get out." But the image of her was burned onto the back of my eyelids. I followed her directions to the office. The router sat on a shelf, its single orange light blinking like a small beacon of failure. I set my bag down and got to work, trying to focus on diagnostics instead of the woman upstairs. I glanced at the work order again. Dr. Thorne. Dr. Vera Thorne. The name suited her perfectly. I was just about to do a hard reset when I heard her footsteps on the stairs. This time she was dressed in soft gray trousers and a simple black silk shirt. She looked even more formidable now, her authority restored. She leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, and watched me with an intensity that made me feel like an insect under a microscope. "Any luck?" Her voice was steady, expectant. "Working on it," I said. "Looks like the router isn't communicating with the modem." I typed a few commands, acutely aware of her gaze on my hands. On the back of my neck, the router failed to reboot. I sighed. "I think it's dead, Dr. Thorne. I have a replacement in my van. It'll take about 20 minutes to configure it." A flicker of something unreadable passed through her gray eyes. "Fine." As I walked past her, my shoulder brushed against her arm. It was the barest of touches, but it felt like a jolt of electricity. I flinched, pulling away too quickly. "Sorry," I mumbled, not looking at her. I practically fled to the van, sucking in the humid air as if I'd been holding my breath. "Get it together, Maya. This is a job." But it didn't feel like a job anymore. When I returned with the new router, she was in the kitchen, a vast expanse of stainless steel and white marble. She was standing by an espresso machine, her back to me. She turned, holding 2 white ceramic mugs. "I figured you might want one. You've been here a while." She gestured to the mug on the marble island. "Black, is that all right?" I was so taken aback I could only nod. "Clients didn't make me coffee." "Thank you," I managed. She leaned against the counter opposite me, cradling her own mug. The silence stretched. Different now, less tense. More contemplative. "So you fix broken things for a living?" she said. I took a sip of the coffee. It was strong and bitter and perfect. "I guess so. Or I try to." A nervous laugh escaped me. "Mostly I just tell people to turn it off and on again." For the first time, the corner of her stern mouth tilted up in a ghost of a smile. It transformed her face, softening the severe angles, revealing a hint of warmth I hadn't thought possible. "The universal solution," she murmured, her gray eyes holding mine. "If only it were that simple for everything else." The comment hung in the air between us, heavy with unspoken meaning. I felt a sudden, sharp pang of empathy for this imposing woman in her beautiful, empty house. "Yeah," I said softly. "If only." We stood there for a few minutes, drinking our coffee in comfortable silence. She wasn't just a client anymore. She was Vera, and I was in trouble. I finished my coffee and set the mug down. "I should, get this installed." As I headed back to the office, the first rumble of thunder echoed in the distance. I glanced out the tall window. The sky, which had been bright and clear, was now a bruised, ominous purple. A storm was coming. The new router was easy to install. I finished the setup and ran a speed test. Perfect connection. The job was done. I walked into the living room where Vera was standing by the massive window, watching the rain stream down the glass. "All set," I said. "You should have full connectivity now." "Thank you," she said. She didn't look at the router. She just looked at me. The wind howled and a branch scraped against the house. "It's coming down hard," she stated. "You shouldn't drive in this." My heart did a slow, painful lurch. "My van is fine. I'm used to." The lights flickered violently and then went out completely. We were plunged into sudden, shocking darkness. "Well," she said, her voice calm in the chaos. "That complicates things." I heard her moving, then the scratch of a match. A small, flickering flame bloomed to life. She lit candle after candle until the room was filled with soft, wavering light. She turned to me, her gray eyes absorbing the candlelight. "The storm will pass, but it might take a while. You can't go out in this. It's not safe." It wasn't a suggestion. It was a quiet command. "Okay," I whispered. The word was a surrender. "I have wine," she said. "Or whiskey if you prefer." I followed her to the kitchen, drawn by an invisible thread. She poured 2 glasses of red wine, our fingers brushing as she handed one to me. The jolt was still there. We stayed in the kitchen, leaning against the marble island, the candlelight casting dancing shadows on the walls. "I'm an architectural historian," she said, breaking the silence. "I was supposed to give a keynote lecture tomorrow. Hence the panic about the internet." "Is that what you were working on?" I asked. She nodded. "For months. It's on the fragility of structures. How buildings that seem permanent are constantly decaying. How the greatest threats often come from within: water damage, rot, a faulty foundation." She looked at me. "It's a metaphor, of course." I felt a chill. We were no longer talking about buildings. "I get it," I said softly. The wine warmed me, loosening the knot of anxiety in my chest. "My job is mostly a placeholder," I confessed. "I have a degree in photography. I just haven't used it. It's easier to fix other people's problems than figure out my own." "Why photography?" she asked quietly. I smiled, remembering. "Because it captures moments, freezes them. My mom died when I was 17. Cancer. I spent that whole last year taking pictures of her laughing, reading, looking out windows. I wanted to remember her as she was." My voice cracked. "After she was gone, I couldn't pick up a camera for 2 years. When I finally did, I went to art school. Graduated, top of my class. But then I got scared. What if I wasn't good enough? So I took a temporary job fixing routers. That was 4 years ago." "Fear is a prison we build for ourselves," Vera said softly. "Trust me. I know." "What are you afraid of?" I asked. She was quiet for a long moment. "Connection. Letting anyone close enough to see the cracks. She met my eyes. I was married once to a man. For 15 years. I played the part perfectly. I built a fortress around who I really was. My breath caught. What happened? I couldn't sustain the lie anymore. Not to him. Not to myself. Her voice was steady, but I could hear the pain underneath. The divorce was brutal. I lost friends, colleagues. My parents stopped speaking to me, so I decided it was easier to be alone. But they can fall apart, I whispered, echoing her earlier words. Yes, she agreed. They can. The air between us was charged now, heavy with everything we weren't saying. How old were you? I asked. When you left him? 43. I'm 50 now. She smiled sadly. 7 years of rebuilding. 7 years of telling myself I was better off alone. Are you? The question slipped out. Better off? She looked at me for a long time. I was, she said quietly. Until about 3 hours ago. My heart stopped, then raced. I set down my wine glass, my hands trembling. Dr. Thorne. Vera, she interrupted. Please, just Vera. Vera, I repeated. I'm not sure what's happening here. Neither am I, she admitted. She took a step toward me. But I know that I haven't felt this alive in 7 years. I know that when you walked through my door, something shifted. And I know that the thought of you leaving makes me feel like I'm losing something I didn't even know I was looking for. I couldn't breathe. I'm 26. You're old enough to have wasted years pretending, she said. Old enough to recognize something real when it's standing in front of me. I'm a mess, I confessed. My last relationship ended because I wouldn't let her in. I have trust issues and I live in a studio apartment and I eat cereal for dinner. And I'm a 50-year-old woman who lives alone in a house that looks like a museum because I'm terrified of making it feel like a home, Vera countered. Who works 16-hour days so she doesn't have to face the silence? Who hasn't let anyone touch her in 3 years because it's safer that way? We stared at each other. The candlelight flickered. The rain drummed on. This is crazy, I whispered. Completely insane, she agreed. Vera, I said. And this time her name was a question, a plea, a promise. She closed the distance between us. Her hand came up slowly and gently tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. Her fingers were cool against my heated skin. Don't go, she whispered. Please don't go. I didn't answer with words. Instead, I closed the last small distance and pressed my lips to hers. It was hesitant at first, a question, an exploration. Her lips were soft, tasting of wine, and something uniquely her. She made a small sound in the back of her throat, and her hand moved to the back of my neck, pulling me closer. The kiss deepened, becoming hungry, desperate, a release of years of loneliness. It wasn't just a kiss. It was a conversation. It said, I see you. I'm broken too. Stay. I wrapped my arms around her waist, holding on as if she were the only solid thing in a world that had tilted off its axis. My back pressed against the marble counter as she leaned into me. I had forgotten what it felt like to be held like this, like I was something precious. We eventually broke apart, resting our foreheads together, breathing the same air. I don't do this, Vera whispered against my lips. I don't let myself. I know, I said, pressing a soft kiss to the corner of her mouth. Me neither. She pulled back slightly to look into my eyes. I don't know what happens next. I don't know how to do this. Neither do I said honestly. But maybe we can figure it out together. My foundation is incredibly fragile, she murmured. I smiled and pressed a soft kiss to her forehead. Good. I know how to fix broken things. She laughed, the sound like sunlight breaking through clouds. Is that your professional opinion, Miss Tech Support? Absolutely, I said. Though I should warn you, this particular repair might take a while. Multiple service calls, extensive troubleshooting, possibly a lifetime warranty. Her arms tightened around me. I think I can live with that. Stay, Vera said quietly. Not just tonight. Tomorrow. Let me make you breakfast. Let me show you the sunrise. Let me have this just a little longer. I'll stay, I promised, for as long as you'll have me. She led me by the hand through the candlelit house, up the floating staircase. Her bedroom was minimalist like the rest of the house. But here there were small touches of softness, a thick blanket, well-worn books, a photograph of a younger Vera with an older woman. My mother, she said, following my gaze. The only family member who still speaks to me. She told me when I came out that she wasn't about to waste her life worrying about other people's opinions. She looks kind, I said. She is. I should call her tomorrow. Tell her about you. The casual way she said it made my throat tight with emotion. She lit more candles around the room. Then she turned to me, suddenly uncertain. I don't have expectations. We can just talk, or sleep, or… I silenced her with a kiss. I just want to be close to you, that's all. We lay down together on top of the covers, face to face in the candlelight. Vera's hand found mine, our fingers intertwining. Tell me something, she said softly. Something you've never told anyone. I thought for a moment. Sometimes when I'm fixing someone's computer, I look at their photos, the ones on their screensavers, and I imagine entire lives for them. Who they love, where they've been. It's like I'm still a photographer, just experiencing other people's captured moments instead of creating my own. That's not pathetic, Vera said. That's beautiful. You're still connected to it. What would you photograph? She asked. If fear wasn't a factor? I looked at her, really looked. The silver in her hair catching the candlelight, the lines around her eyes, the elegant line of her neck. You, I said simply. I'd photograph you. Her breath caught. Why? Because you're like one of those buildings you study. Strong and beautiful, but with all these hidden vulnerabilities that make you even more breathtaking. Because the way the light hits your face right now is the most perfect thing I've ever seen. Tears gathered in her eyes. No one has ever looked at me the way you do. Then they weren't really looking, I said. She kissed me again, slow and sweet and achingly tender. Your turn, I said. Tell me something. She was quiet for a long moment. I bought this house 3 years ago. Right after my father died. We hadn't spoken in 4 years. I flew home for the funeral anyway. My siblings wouldn't sit with me. At the reception, my brother told me I had killed our father with shame. She paused. I came back here and bought the most expensive, most perfect house I could find. I thought if I built something beautiful enough, it would prove I was fine, that I didn't need anyone. She looked at me. But tonight, lying here with you, I realize I've just been hiding, existing instead of living. I pulled her close, tucking her head under my chin. We're both pretty broken, huh? Completely shattered, she agreed. Good thing we found each other then. She lifted her head. Maya, I need you to know I don't know how to do this. I'm probably going to mess this up 100 different ways. Same, I said. I'm going to get scared and want to run. I'm going to doubt that this is real. So we're a disaster waiting to happen, she said. Absolutely, I agreed. But you're willing to try anyway? I pressed my forehead to hers. Vera, I would try anything if it meant more moments like this. She kissed me again, and this time it felt like a promise not of perfection, but of possibility. The candles burned lower. The storm had passed completely. The power will probably come back on soon, Vera murmured. And when it does, you could leave. Pretend this was just a strange night that didn't mean anything. I could, I agreed. Or I could stay for breakfast. And maybe we could spend tomorrow figuring out what this is. And if it falls apart? She asked quietly. Then we rebuild, I said simply. That's what you do with broken things. You repair them. You make them stronger at the broken places. She pulled back to look at me. When did you get so wise? Probably about 3 hours ago, I said, when a beautiful woman opened her door in a towel and completely derailed my entire life. She laughed. Best broken router I ever had. Best service call I ever made, I countered. We lay there wrapped in each other's arms, talking in whispers. She told me about buildings in Berlin and Barcelona. I told her about the photography project I'd always wanted to do. You should do it, she said firmly. I'll be your first subject. You're not ordinary, I protested. No, she agreed. But this moment is extraordinary. As if on cue, the power flickered back to life. The bedside lamp glowed. The air conditioning hummed. We both laughed. There's your cue, Vera said softly. Job's done. Connection restored. But she didn't let me go. And I didn't move to leave. I'm thinking I might need to come back next week, I said. For a follow-up. Make sure everything's running smoothly. Is that standard procedure? She asked, smiling. For very special clients, I said. She kissed me softly. Then I suppose I'll see you next week, Miss Tech Support. Actually, I said, grinning. I was thinking more like tomorrow. More than okay, she whispered. I reached over and turned off the lamp, plunging us back into candlelight. The power may be back on, but I like it better like this. So do I, Vera agreed. We fell asleep like that, wrapped in each other's arms, surrounded by the soft glow of candles, two broken people who had found each other in a storm. Two fragile foundations beginning to intertwine, to support each other, to become something stronger than either could have been alone. Outside, the first hints of dawn were beginning to lighten the sky. A new day was coming, full of uncertainty and possibility, and the promise of two people brave enough to try. And somewhere in my van, a work order sat completed, intermittent connectivity issues resolved. But as I drifted off to sleep in Vera's arms, I knew that something far more important had been fixed tonight. Two lonely hearts had found their connection. And this time, it wasn't intermittent. It was real. So that's my story. The night a broken router led me to the love of my life. It's been 6 months since that stormy Friday. And Vera and I are still figuring it out, still learning each other's broken pieces, still rebuilding our foundations together. It's messy and beautiful and nothing like I expected. Oh. And I finally picked up my camera again. Vera was right, she made the perfect first subject. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button, and subscribe to Lesbian Lens for more stories about finding love in the most unexpected places. Drop a comment below and tell me, do you believe in love at first sight? Or do you think the best connections take time to build? And remember, sometimes the things we think are broken are just waiting for the right person to see their beauty. Until next time, keep your heart open. You never know when your own connection might walk through the door.